Hello, friends and beautiful people. Let me fix this here. It is Catherine Massell, Elevated Consciousness Coach, 5D Visionary, CatherineMassell.com. Here we are in Monday Masterclass, and we're talking about 2022 as a pivot year and what that means, and how it is about stepping into spiritual maturity, into emotional maturity, because those things go hand in hand. So I'm going to wait for a couple folks to jump on here. Hey, Marissa. And I'm going to grab my notes. My notes. And if you're joining, say hello. Let me know you're here. Let's see. Who else is here? Michelle is here. Hello, lady. Hey, everyone who's joining. So we are going to talk today about 2022. And it's time, since we're on the this trajectory of very rapidly ending 2021. It seems like it's wrapping up really quickly. Here we are in this time of year where the veil is really thin between worlds, realities, dimensions, timelines. And it feels like there's a lot of things closing out, a lot of things beginning, a lot of dust settling. We have moments of glimpsing into really great, expansive potentials. I mean, there's just an amazing amount of stuff happening. And some of it might feel overwhelming to you. That's probably an understatement for those of you watching. But it's also bringing to light a lot of things that maybe you've been ignoring, haven't been honest with yourself about. That shadow that we've been sweeping under the rug for so long, that it's starting to pile up under the rug and start to look like an elephant being covered like a small doormat, right? It's just the stuff under the rug is massive at this point. We can't deny it anymore. And there's a reason why it's coming up into your full awareness. There's a reason why it's coming up into such higher contrast, and why this stuff that you've been kind of sweeping under the rug is causing so many problems for you at the moment. And I'm just going to go ahead and make that blanket statement that anything that you've been sweeping under the rug is in high contrast. It's in high relief in your life right now. So undeniable, so in your face. And there's a reason for that. Hi, Angela. Hi, Danielle. And the reason for that is you can't push it under the rug anymore. It won't fit. It won't fit in the life you're trying to creating. It doesn't have a place in the energy and the frequency you're trying to occupy. It doesn't match up. It can't fit. It won't align. And there's a reason why when we look at 2022, that 2021 has had the energy and the forceful nature that it has. And I would say that, 2020, obviously, the year COVID hit and the elections, and it was just like, it's so crazy. But in a lot of ways, 2021 was even more polarizing, right? Because we're trying to figure out our identity in the light of what happened at the end of 2019 and into 2020. And it's so very dualizing. It's causing so many dualizing ways of being versus, we're so, it's like we have this heightened sense of our ambitions and our goals and our desires, like maybe more than we ever have. But right alongside that, and always right alongside that, kids, you're going to see everything in that same degree of intensity You're going to see everything right alongside those heightened desires that are heightened in what's keeping you from those desires. That's the way it works. I know, Corinne, I was reading about that. Corinne, my friend in Tahoe, is getting walloped right now with rain, which is crazy because there's just been all these fires there. It's like Mother Nature is like, y'all better learn to pay attention to me. Mother Nature's had it. And we've got a crazy windstorm here. I'm in Bellingham, Washington, which is about an hour plus north of Seattle, right near the Canadian border, pretty much. And we are getting walloped with a lot of wind and more rain coming. And we're in a, what do they call it? An atmospheric bubble, an atmospheric river, I think they're calling it. It's bringing huge rainstorms to the west. I mean, badly needed water, but just like 2020, 2021, fast and furious, like everything else, right? Hi, Tammy. Stay safe, Corinne. Atmospheric river, yeah, there it is, which I've never heard that before. And I studied meteorology in college, but I never heard that term before. Anyway, everything's fast and furious right now, right? There's no exceptions. So does that make sense? On the heels of what I just talked about, let me just summarize real quick. So to the degree that you're feeling the intensity or having this really heightened awareness of the things that you want, the things that you have the ambition, maybe bigger, more intense than ever, to have, do certain things in your life and see it so clearly, and maybe even have those moments of lucidity where you're feeling it, seeing it, you're in the moment with it as if it's right there. So just as intense as you're having those feelings of what you want to be, do, and have, right alongside that is always, and it is a gift, it's a gift in the garbage, but as a gift nonetheless, you're going to see right alongside that all the things that are keeping you from it. So all this shadow that you've been sweeping under the rug, that's why it feels so intense. That's why it feels so heightened. That's why everything is all up in your face right now. You can't deny it anymore. And it's the universe giving you this, what I like to call the gift in the garbage, of showing you like, oh, you've made it very clear now. You're sending out this vibration of all these things you want. The way you want to be, the things you want to have, the commitments you want to make to yourself, and you can kind of see them in more of a light of reality now than maybe you couldn't before. Like it seems really possible, is what I'm saying. So the gift in the garbage that the universe is going to give you, because the universe is always your co-creator, it's going to say, well, great. Thanks for showing us how intensely you want this thing, this way of being. We're going to show you, as your co-creator, just as intensely, all those things that are keeping you from it. Okay? Lots of rain in Shasta too. Yeah, lots of snow on the mountain, right? It's a La Nina year, so we're going to have that water, and that's good. The problem is a lot of places where there's been intense fires, like in California, Tahoe especially, all that erosion that's going to take place now because of the rain. So that's a little scary because it's going to wash into the Lake Tahoe. I'm not happy about that. So does that make sense? Are you guys following me so far? Give me some hearts if you know what's up and if you know what I'm talking about, and give me an example of like how this is showing up in your life. Let me know. I know I'm seeing it. I know I'm feeling it. I've been stepping up into a higher threshold, really stepping up into more service in what I do and how I serve my clients and my community. And with that, feeling the intensity of that drive, that mission, that purpose, that need to really fulfill the needs and desires of my community. Right alongside that, I'm seeing everything that's holding me back from it. But this is good. It may not feel good, but here's the thing, guys. Here's why it's good, is because it's like it's not hidden under the rug anymore. It's up. I mean, it's there and it's in our face, so we can see exactly what's holding us back. The only disconnect is then going to be, I see all this stuff. I see all these things that are holding me back. I'm aware of these ways of thinking, believing, ways of being that have been, inhibiting behaviors, keeping me from doing, having, being this thing. The only disconnect now, and here comes the wallop, here comes the sucker punch, kids. Ready? Take a deep breath. The only disconnect is you saying, but I'm not going to do anything about it. The only disconnect is you not taking radical self-responsibility, radical accountability on making the changes that you know, and sorry, said with mad love and respect, fuck it, you know need to happen. Makes sense, Shantae says. You are describing my life right now. I think I'm describing a lot of people's lives right now. So if you're feeling like, you know, this intensity and, you know, these radical self-realizations are making you feel small, please don't feel that way, because I think a lot of people are going through this. Maybe they don't have the verbiage, you know, to put a finger on what that means for them, or to be able to articulate it necessarily, but it's happening for everyone to a certain degree. So, you know, God, please don't feel like you're the only one going through this, yet another purge and dark night of the soul, because you ain't. Let me see if I can find, there we go. I want to see where I'm live in the group here. Okay, cool. So I can see your comments better. I know I need to take some leaps. Okay, right? And so there's that realization right there. There is your disconnect. The universe, in its love and appreciation of you, is responding to what you're saying you want to be, do, and have, and you know that it's time for you to step up. You know it. I mean, fuck it, guys. You know that it is time for you to pivot. You know it's time for you to step into something bigger. You know it's time for you to stop playing small. And the universe, in its love for you, intense, incredible love for you, is saying to you in response to your energetic, by the way. It's only responding to your frequency, and it's saying, okay, great. Here is everything that's keeping you from it. Are you going to look at it? Are you going to even acknowledge it? Are you going to accept that it's there? And here's the thing about acceptance, guys. We don't make any moves and strides or shifts or pivots unless we accept that this is where we are. Because that's foundation, that's ground zero. You got to accept that this is happening. And you have to also accept within that you've done it to yourself. No one did anything to you, okay? One of my favorite quotes, and it's my own, and it's on one of the posts that I created today, that you can't play the victim card and eat your ascension cake too. And what that means is that you don't get to say, well, it's the government, it's COVID, it's politics, it's the healthcare system, it's the man, whatever that is, and it's, you know, it's policy in this country right now, it's the mandates, and then turn around and say, yeah, but I'm elevating my consciousness and I'm becoming more, and I can see how all this is possible for me, all these things that I want to be, do, and have. But if you're not taking radical responsibility that all of these changes stop and start with you, good luck. Sorry, not sorry, but good luck. Okay? I'm beating myself up so much I need to get out of my own way. You're only beating yourself up because you are in that place where you feel that, God, I should do this. God, I should do this. God, I should make this change. God, I should just, you know, just quantum leap in one day. Here's the thing, a quantum leap, like a huge change, like, you know, 360-degree turnaround in our lives, actually puts us in a place of more disempowerment because it feels too big too fast. Most people, and trust me on this, I've been doing this work for 20 years, guys. Most people have the most success with pivoting, shifting, reshaping their lives by taking incremental steps every day, meaning finding the consistency with it. It doesn't have to be a massive, jahungus leap that you're taking, because that is self-sabotage city for most people. And you learn about this in the In Alignment and Thriving core program, by the way, because you learn about what your unique saboteurs are. We usually have 3 or 4 that are at the top of our list for us. And a lot of those are strongly inhibited, or we kick them into overdrive is another way to say that. We kick those saboteurs, our inner saboteurs, into overdrive when we work against them. And taking huge shifts forward usually puts us into self-sabotage city where our inner saboteurs take over. And then we wind up in analysis paralysis and we end up doing zip, zero, nada, big donut hole, nothing. So where I've seen the most success in coaching my clients and working with them and knowing what their inner saboteurs are, because that is so friggin' helpful, I can't even tell you, is to know that where can we take the positive, not the negative shadow aspect of your saboteurs, where can we take the positive, your master aspect of the saboteur, and work with it instead of against it? That usually means for most people that we take small steps, but we make them consistent. We do something new every day that puts us out of our comfort zone a little bit. Because here's the thing, guys, if we're not stretching, we're not growing. So if you don't feel a little stretched every day, and it doesn't have to be a massive stretch, because the massive stretch, I'm telling you, you'll find a way to sabotage it. I've seen it over and over and over again. Please trust me as the expert on this. I've been doing this work with clients for 20 years. What little changes can you start making every day? And you know what they are. So, you know, I don't allow people to play the victim card with me and say those 3 words, I don't know. Okay. Well, if you did know, because you do, what would you do every day to make a small step towards the direction of living inside of your desires, moving in your life where you're living alongside, inside your desires? That means taking steps that align with those things every day, as if you're already living that life, okay? So much is coming out that is helping me heal from past abuse, and I'm finally able to feel genuine, sticking up for myself. And that's wonderful, Marianne. That's wonderful. It's great that I've reached that point. I do need to get out of victim mode. And it is a daily choice. That's the thing. That's what I'm driving at here. It's a daily choice. So if you are making a daily choice, I am moving out of victim mode, what would you be doing? Speaking up for yourself more often. And believe me, there are plenty of opportunities in everyone's daily life to do that. Plenty. We don't realize how much usually we sweep stuff aside just to keep the status quo or to just, stop, anything from rocking the boat. And as women, we are classically trained artists in keeping the status quo, right? Because there's so much in us that, we have a lot of wounding and we're afraid of persecution in any form. So a lot of times we don't even realize that we're doing it. Not saying something or saying something else entirely, omitting something in order to just keep the status quo, right? So that's where you start right there, is being in a place of being responsive and present in each conversation, each scenario. So what if you just decided, Marianne, a small step for you would be, I'm going to be present with every exchange, interaction, scenario, event I find myself facing every single day, and being with the place that is the highest level of response that feels good for me. You can do that. And that might seem like a huge step for you, but if you just approach each conversation, each scenario, each exchange with a person as an individualized, small, incremental event towards you reaching the greater goal of really being a sovereign, empowered woman, then it becomes little incremental bites that you can take, right? So you have to look at it that way. I have definitely been sticking up for myself way more. People pleaser be gone, right? The pleaser is a saboteur that we explore in the In Alignment and Thriving program. And Corinne, I don't mean to call you out on that, but Corinne is in the In Alignment and Thriving Core program, which is starting again on the 11th, 11/11. Let me see some of the other comments here. I've done that and I'm able to stay present. And that feels huge, doesn't it? Like sometimes even the littlest thing, it's still an achievement. It's still an accomplishment. It's about how it makes you feel, not how fucking big you go. It's about how it makes you feel. And think about it. If you're taking bite-sized, movements towards this greater goal of being the self-empowered, emboldened, courageous, sovereign woman, if you're taking, little bite-sized movements towards that every single day, you're going to be constantly in the frequency of, hey, I really like myself. Hey, I really appreciate that I'm making the effort now for myself more than I ever have. I'm appreciating that I'm taking the time to be present. and aware in each moment. My God, that just feels really good. And if you're feeling really good, you're linking all those moments together to have then at the end of the day, a full day where you feel fucking amazing about yourself, right? And you're going to bed, your head hits that pillow and you're like, I did good today. I am proud of myself. I love myself. I'm stronger than I thought. And that's exactly what we're going for, you guys. So I want to talk about and kind of stay on topic here. I took the saboteur test, makes 100% sense. I'm the avoider and pleaser, right? And just taking that saboteur assessment, which is free, by the way, you guys, and I'll put the link in here, but it's the link to my sales page. It's the link for the saboteur assessment is on my sale page for In Alignment and Thriving Core Program. So I'll put that in here in a minute. And that's a free assessment you can take, okay? And even just taking that assessment opens your eyes so much because it talks about how that affects you behaviorally, how it affects your thinking, how it affects your feeling, right? The things that you're doing. So it's huge. I easily do for others. Now I'm getting my power back. Yes, more effort. Absolutely. 100%. So 2021, when we have the power now of hindsight, we're not out of 2021 yet, and it's going to just feel really accelerated. Like after Halloween, it's going to feel like, what? It's January 1st? How did that happen? Time is speeding up, and our experience of time, because we have two different ways we experience time. We have physical time, we have psychological time. So when you say it feels like everything's speeding up or moving through timelines really quickly, that's felt time, that's sensed time, that's psychological time. So it's how our brain susses out how we feel as a person in time. And then we have physical time, which is clock time, calendar time, literally something that's measured out, right? So our psychological sense of time feels really accelerated at the moment, and we're sifting through a lot of timelines that are outdated, they're outmoded, they don't serve us anymore. And so the faster we move through those timelines that are holding our diminishment, our self-discounting, any kind of self-abandonment, self-denial, all that stuff is coming up like fast and furious because we literally are sifting through old timelines so quickly in order to collapse them and close them out and be done with them. But it doesn't mean that it just ends there. It means that there is wisdom to be downloaded, insight to be gleaned from those ways of being. How did those ways of being, in other words, even in our own self-diminishment, even in our own self-abandonment, it still served us in a way. It allowed us to see what we were doing to close ourselves off, to pinch ourselves off from our greatness. And that level of contrast is always good. Because we got to know who we've been in order to really ask for and fully step into who we're becoming. Because in order to fully step into who we're becoming, we need to collapse those old timelines. We need to say goodbye to them. We need to see how they were affecting us so that we can finally then say, you know what, I'm closing the book on that chapter in my life. It no longer serves me. This way of being has nothing more to offer me, especially with what I'm asking to become. And then we can close out that timeline successfully because here's the thing, we can reopen timelines. And it's always about the way you feel about yourself, the way you think about yourself, your inner monologue, in other words, telling you who you think you are. So if you're still relegating and calling back to those old ways of being, thinking, feeling, you can reopen those timelines. But here's the thing. If you're not taking radical self-responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, for who you want to be, is that in alignment with your desires? Is that, moving alongside your ambitions in a way where you keep becoming more every day, which is your birthright, by the way, to keep becoming more. We are infinite beings, there is no end to us. We're not just linear. We don't just start and stop. That is not who we are as divine humans. We keep going. We may shuffle off this coil, our mortal coil, at some point on this planet, of course, but you keep going on. You are infinite. Okay. And so when we look at 2021 and look at it as like a capsule of time, a bubble of energy, we can't really look at 2022 without the context of 2021. Okay. So this was our clearing year. And that's why it's going to feel sped up and accelerated as we rapidly approach December 31st, 2021, because it's going to be this kind of compressing of timelines and a wrapping up of all the things that don't serve us anymore, are limiting us, keeping us in self-denial, self-abandonment, all those parts of self that we've sent away because we've deemed them as being lesser than. Those are going to start to show up. And they're going to start to show up in your life because these are your unloved parts of self. You shove them under the rug, that means they exist in shadow. So as much as you try to get rid of them and send them away, it's a part of you. So the only way to bring them back and allow them to heal is to bring them back into the light of your attention, your focus, and bring them back into the light of your love. So they don't have to exist in shadow anymore. 2021 was your clearing year, is your clearing year, in order for you to do that. So in order for 2022 to be the new beginning that it really is, in a lot of ways, 2021 was the new beginning, but what it was doing was clearing out everything that wasn't serving us. It's still continuing to. That's why it feels so intense. That's why 2021 feels more intense than 2020 in a lot of ways, because we're making room for more growth. So when you think about 2022, we've got, let's talk about it in numerologic terms. So in numerology and the study of numbers and, you know, their metaphysical reference that they have, okay? 2022 is a master builder year. It is a year of new beginnings, but whereas 2021 was a new beginning in the sense that it's clearing the way for more to take hold in your life. What's really aligned for you, what really benefits you, okay? What really builds you up and bolsters you and gives you everything, you know, to create a foundation for what you're asking for. It's making room for more growth. So it's like stepping up the ladder, okay? 2021 was the clearing year. So it's like getting rid of all that you are not. All that which you are not is clearinghouse event. Everything must go, okay? Going out of business sign is on the door. We're liquidating rugs, furniture, everything. It's got to go, right? And then 2022 is then climbing the ladder of your spiritual journey, which is always going to be equated with and akin to your emotional journey, okay? So we're climbing the ladder into this spiritual maturity, and that can only come about through emotional maturity. Those things go hand in hand, okay? So where it felt erratic, where the polarities were in 2022 feeling so erratic, like one day you feel totally courageous and the next you feel totally cautious, or let alone one day, 1 minute, you feel bold and courageous and on top of the world, like, I can conquer anything, right? You're Leo DiCaprio at the front of the Titanic. I'm the king of the world, or the queen of the world, as the case may be. And then the next minute, feeling like super cautious, super unstable, super insecure, super like imposter syndrome, super like fraud alert, right? Or feeling like very spiritual, very open, very present, very in the moment. And then the next feeling like super physically aware of like, God, I don't like my fat belly, or God, my legs, why do I have so many varicose veins on my legs? And it was just this constant like imbalanced, really super polarized way of being, right? In 2021, who else can jibe with that? Yep, right? Marianne says, somewhere I picked up that there is instant manifestation. And there is, absolutely. And this is more prevalent now than ever before, because we know more about our divine nature than ever before, and we know it's possible, right? It's like when they first ran the 5-minute mile, okay, in marathon running, and no one had ever run a 5-minute mile before. And it was like, oh, I didn't even know this could be done. I didn't even know this was a thing, right? And then guess what? Once it gets downloaded into the consciousness of the human family, then everybody's running a 5-minute mile. Then you got a 4-minute mile. And this just becomes old hat that there's a 5-minute mile, right? It's kind of the same thing with instant manifestation. We're realizing that we can do things that we didn't even think or deem possible before. And now it's just like, yeah, I can do it. I've instantly manifested before. I do it all the time. I do it with parking spaces. I think about something that needs to be done and what goes into it, and in the 3D world, I get so overwhelmed. Yes. And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make here, Marianne. So thanks for giving a real world example of that, of those polarity switches, right? Of feeling like I'm the queen of the world and I can instantly manifest shit. And then the next minute you're like, wait, I can't do that. Who instantly manifests anything? That's not even possible. It takes forever things to show up. This is a dense reality. And then we talk ourselves out of it, right? So in 2022, we're moving into more of this balance where it feels like more of an even keel. Like it was here before, you know, courage, boldness, and then caution, insecurity, stability. It's like now we're tipping those scales so they're a little more even in 2022. So what it does, it gives us a more egalitarian kind of balanced foundation. It feels more concrete, more stable to start building our desired reality from, okay? So 2022 offers that. And since in numerologic speak, 222, those three numbers together, that's a master number, but it is also a number of greater self-love, greater self-awareness. It's the number of greater spiritual maturity. It's the number of, those three numbers are actually ruled by the planet Venus, so ruled by love in the heart, okay? And this is important, and I'm going to talk about why this is important. Maybe I'll just talk about it right now. Because a lot of what's getting healed in 2022 is where we've had a broken heart. Let's just talk about it, the elephant in the room. Let's just make it really, really simple. 2020, 2021, it broke our hearts. Those of us who feel so intensely, we feel things so strongly. We're all empathic, by the way. But some of us are more sensitive and more empathic than others. Some of us feel everything. Like to the point that it breaks us inside. It shatters us. It puts us into tears. It makes us feel hopeless, right? In 2020 and 2021, for those of us who are extremely sensitive on this planet, man, did we ever feel that. I mean, I was crying all the time. That's kind of lessened. And that's good, by the way, because you're releasing, you're letting it go. So especially if you're feeling into the pain and the heartbreaking in the collective, you know, you releasing that through crying and purging that, you're purging it for the collective. So thank you. If you've been one of those people like myself, like I had puffy eyes for like 8 months, okay? I mean, I'm kind of puffy anyway, but I was feeling that in the collective a lot, and I was crying a lot, and I was releasing a lot. But that is, ultimately, it's good, because that means you don't have to hold on to it, right? I'm definitely highly sensitive, and yes, it shatters us. So we are going through and have gone through this collective heartbreak. And it's really important to understand that, you know, this Master Builder year is ruled by Venus, which is a coming home to self, calling back all those unloved parts in the individual timelines of our lives and in the collective timelines of our lives, and bringing them back into the light of our love and healing through the heart. Healing our broken hearts, in other words. And so if this brings you some comfort and relief, allow that, receive that, let it be. Let it come into your conscious awareness, because a lot of us are unconsciously aware of this, but let it come into your conscious awareness now that this is what 2022 offers us. It's like, okay, now the healing begins. Like we broke everything, that part, and shattered the things that were already broken, kind of, but we just didn't really see it. And 2021 allowed for that full shattering, the break, the collapse, the burning to the ground, literally. It was no coincidence that we saw the, you know, intensity in the weather systems. It was mirroring, especially in the wildfires, of the things that we were feeling on the inside, the things that we were anchoring into in the collective, you know, the planetary timeline of all humanity. Things needed to get burnt up. Things needed to collapse. We needed to override the pre-existing symptoms and systems. That was kind of a Freudian slip, but it works. So does this make sense? I want it to be comforting for you to hear this. I want you to be comforted, okay? Because I'm going to do a little jab, jab, hook here, okay? I want you to be comforted so that you can take in this next piece. Ready? All right, have a sip of water. Those of you who have brought water, or breathe and bring yourself back into conscious awareness. I'm no living Buddha and feel that my God self mitigates manifestation because I have fleeting moments of negativity that I would loathe to manifest. All those petty thoughts that don't serve. Right, we're not always instantly manifesting, but here's the thing, it's everything that gets manifested in the physical realm is a co-creative endeavor. So if we had instant manifestation where it was all on us to instantly manifest, think of that thought that you have when you see someone that you hate and you're like, I wish they would just self-immolate. I just wish they would just start on fire right now and save us all a lot of trouble, right? Imagine if we instantly manifested that. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but let's face it, some of us think that sometimes, And what if we were instantly manifesting that? That would suck. So we can take comfort in the fact that we co-create, the universe creates with us. So it's guiding us in each moment. So when we're in that default mode of being entirely too human, too egocentric, the universe can step in and kind of mitigate that, right? Exactly, Jeffrey. Or, I can't tell you how many times I've been mountain biking or hiking on a steep single track trail up in the mountains, and it's just a sheer drop. And I think, what if my foot just slipped and I just fell down that mountain and then perished and died? What if I instantly manifested that? That would suck, and I wouldn't be having this conversation with you here right now, right? So it's always mitigated. So, it's not like cup of soup type instance, right? Does anyone remember cup of soup? I don't even think they make that anymore. But you literally add hot water to this powdery, salty mess, and then you have soup. It's not instant manifestation like that. Although it can be. So 2021, just to be clear and to summarize, it was the clearing year. It was the burning away. It was the collapsing, okay? In order to create a clean slate and a foundation that feels more stable, feels more strong, feels like something we can actually build on now that will sustain us for years to come. 2020 and 2021 were not built as a timeline or a conveyance of time, that calendar year, to be a foundation for us. They were meant to strip away, clear away. Those were clearing years. Okay? We needed those. They definitely still have cup of soup here in South Africa. Okay, awesome, Angelique. Cup of soup. God, I was a latchkey kid growing up, which meant, I was on my own. From the time I was 9 or 10 years old, my parents both worked. So my older brother and I, we'd, come home from school and we'd make cup of soup and watch cartoons and then do our homework. We were good kids. So climbing the ladder is what 2022 is all about, into spiritual maturity. So this means a more balanced approach to these dualities that I talked about, these polarizing ways of being, more self-love. Anywhere where we're in self-abandonment, we're calling those unloved parts of self back home, back into the light of our love and attention and focus, and saying, it's okay. It's okay. I sent you away because I didn't know any better at the time and I thought you were lesser than. When you call them back home to you and love them up, it's like saying, I sent you away at a time where I didn't know any better. I didn't know I had other choices. I didn't know I could have the power to forgive myself. I didn't know that I had the power to make a higher or a different choice. And when we have that realization and we have that recognition, we bring ourselves back into wholeness, right? And then we're really setting the foundation to create from our heart's desires without distraction, without distortion. Because anywhere we're creating without the wholeness of self, it's an abstraction. It will never feel complete. We talk about this a lot in Alignment and Thriving Core Program. And I teach you how to bring back these unloved parts of self, okay? So this Master Builder year, okay? 222. When we add the number 0, it's an amplifier number. So this is a Master Builder year on steroids. This is a Master Builder year on crack. This is a Master Builder year that amplifies this foundation that we're creating. You hold all the power. And now you get to realize it and live your life from that truth, that higher spiritual truth and realization that you hold all the power to create your destiny, okay? But you don't control any of it. Now let me explain. We don't have any control over our external circumstances. I mean, if anything has taught us that, it's been 2021, right? But our power and the full realization, acceptance, and utilitarian aspect of our power, meaning how we use it, how we wield it, is knowing that we always have the ability to respond in a higher way to whatever external circumstances feel out of control. We have no control over anything except our emotional response. Okay? Where we are out of control with ourselves is where we're just reacting from patterned responses, conditioned responses. And this is always going to be from an egocentric level. But when we're present, you know, as Mary Ann was wonderful and vulnerable enough to point out, is in saying that, you know, I'm more present now. I get to see where I have always the power to respond and be in the moment and be present with what's happening. And you realize in those moments of presence that you have a choice. You always have a choice. And you can react from those conditioned pattern responses that are the egocentric you. You always have that ability because we have free will here, right? And you can do whatever the fuck you want, really. But is that serving you? Is that you living alongside your desires? Is that you anchoring your ambitions, your goals, and your dreams? Our conditioned responses usually are at odds with all of that, right? So you hold all the power to create your destiny, but not the control. And that means you are finally realizing that you're all that in a bag of chips, okay? You're all that in a bag of chips and a cold beer. Sorry to use a beer reference, but that's one of my favorite drinks of choice. You can say whatever you want. Horchata, Earl Grey tea. You're all that, and then some, in other words, okay? You hold all the power. And you're finally realizing this. But you don't have control over external circumstances. The power is in how you respond and how you, listen to me now, alchemize all of those external circumstances to your advantage. Okay? Tequila. Catherine, my namesake, my shared namesake, and we even spell it the same way. You know I love tequila. Fun fact, I love tequila and mezcal so much. I studied with the North American ambassador to tequila. Two of them, actually, Tom Estes and Julio Bermejo. And I studied tequila and mezcal. And I went on a trip to Mexico where I went to distilleries and I spent time with people who have been making tequila for hundreds of years and visited their factorias where they make the tequila. I didn't get to go to Oaxaca and go see how mezcal is made. That's another trip. That's another trip. Just a fun fact about me. Great minds think alike, right? So you hold all the power, but none of the control. Okay, but don't let that be diminishing. Don't let that take the wind out of your sails. It just means that you have the power to express yourself fully and in integrity in light of external circumstances that may feel challenging or problematic for you. Okay? But the power is in how you alchemize all that to your advantage. That's what Master Builder Year is all about, folks. And with that addition of the 0 in there, it amplifies that. Because 0 is an amplifying number, okay? And I talked about healing the broken heart. So we have a lot of emotional shrapnel that we're still cleaning up from this year, right? And you're going to feel it, you know, this as we make this last push, this last gasp of 2021 as a calendar year, as a linear timeline. You're going to have the psychological sense of time accelerating, time speeding up. So what does that mean? What does that feel like? How does that shake out in your everyday life? The stuff that you're still not willing to see, the stuff that you're still in self-denial about, the stuff that you're still in, you know, this kind of self-abandonment place. And self-abandonment means that you recognize there are unloved parts of you and you refuse to love them. You refuse to call them home and into the light of your love. That's self-abandonment. Self-abandonment in action is always I'm going to say something here that doesn't serve me, but it serves this other person. So is that being in power of your external circumstances and alchemizing that event in order to benefit you? Because when you think about it, are you really serving the highest and best good of yourself and the highest good of all by just acquiescing, by just giving in? I mean, it's a kind of enabling too for the other party involved, if we're honest about it. Is that really serving anybody? It's not. Okay. So in order to be the master builder of this year of 2022, what are you willing to accept are these unloved parts of self? Can you acknowledge them? Putting them in the light of your love meaning to make it really tangible and practical and workable for you. Obviously, we go into this in great detail in the In Alignment and Thriving Core program. But how do you make this workable? Calling back these unloved parts of self and allowing them to be bathed in the light of your love. Like, that sounds really airy-fairy, but here's what it fucking means. It means that you talk to them. I love you. I forgive you. You can say the Ho'oponopono prayer, the forgiveness prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. And it can be this kind of review versus reliving any kind of traumatic event where you gave away parts of yourself, which we can't ever really do, to be honest. They just exist in shadow. You can't give away parts of yourself, just like you can't give away your power. But you can believe that you can do that, okay? Do you see the difference there? I'll clean that up if you need me to. So just like you think you can, believe that you can give away parts of yourself, you can't. You can't not be who you are. Okay? So, but we can labor under the illusion that we've given away or pushed away these parts of self, that elephant under the rug that looks like it's wearing a little kitchen rug. And it's the elephant in the room. You can't not see it, but you're still pretending it's not there. To love that part of you is to say, I see you. To bring that out from the shadow is to say, I accept you. I accept that you're a part of me. And I accept that the reason why I thought I could send you away in the first place is because it was painful for me to look at you. It was painful for me to think that you are responsible for my diminishment. It's painful for me to think that you're a part of me that was incapable of dealing with this situation in a higher way. And when you do that and you talk to that part of self, you're going to cry, first of all. I'm crying right now, and I'm not even talking about anything really tangible. But that's the release. That's when you release this distancing, you release this disconnect, and you call this part of you home and back into wholeness. And here's the fucking bonus. I'm really sweary today, and I'm sorry about that. But here's the bonus. When you call those parts, not just one part, because let's face it, there's many. When you call those parts of self home, anything that you create, anything that you manifest, anything that you deign to do, endeavor to do, a project, a new way of being, a way of doing, a new skill set, it feels more wholesome for you. It stops feeling like, this feels great, but there's still something missing. The thing that was missing are those parts of self that you thought you could send away, and they exist in shadow. When you call them back out of the shadow and call them back into the light of your love through your own recognition, through your own acknowledgement of them, through your own acceptance of, I had to be this way because I didn't know any better at the time. And then they feel the light of your forgiveness. They feel the light of your compassionate witness energy. They feel the light of your love finally at last, because that's all they've been crying out for. And those cries are going to get more vociferous. Those cries are going to get more intense, because it's just those unloved parts of self asking to come back home to you. And the rest of this year, you're going to really see that and feel it and know it. And now that we've had this conversation, you can't not know it. So here's the jab hook. I like kickboxing, so I like to use that reference. The hook is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? It's not anyone else's responsibility to clear up this disconnect. No one else is at fault. Even those players that helped you to go into that place of self-abandonment. They're just role players in a game that you agreed on a soul level to play with that person. But they're not responsible for you. No one is responsible for how you feel. No one is responsible for how you think about yourself, for your inner monologue of how you talk to yourself. No one is responsible for what you've done or what you do with your life. It is 100% on you. Don't like where you are? What are you going to do about it? Don't like how you think about yourself, talk to yourself? What are you going to do about it? I like kickboxing too. I know, kickboxing is fun. That's good. The release is good. Violation of one's own moral compass. And it only can feel very difficult to the degree that you say that if I could easily abandon myself in that way, then I can easily call those parts home too. Think about maybe a point in your life, Jeffrey, where you had that moment of, this is where I decided to negate a part of myself. This is where I decided to destroy an aspect of me, or think that I could destroy or diminish or put in shadow or, send away a part of me. Think how maybe easy that decision was at the time. And what is difficult is that we learn to live at that level for so long. So the difficulty is in recreating a life now that aligns with us calling us home to wholeness. It's not difficult to make the decision. It's difficult to create the behaviors around it, maybe. But even then, it's just a daily practice, because you and your self-diminishment and the identity you created for yourself in that respect was a daily task. That was a daily commitment that you made to adopt ways of thinking, feeling, and believing and doing that were in alignment with you in the identity of, I'm diminished, I'm lesser than, I'm faulty, I'm broken. You made a decision to live at that level of identity. And it was easy, fucking far easier than it should be to make that decision, but it's because we didn't know any better at the time, right? Our backs were to the wall. In most traumatic situations, traumatic events, I call them original cause events, core events, that happen to allow us to choose our own diminishment, can be very easy in that moment to make that choice, because we feel like we don't have another one. We feel like our backs are to the wall, right? But it's a decision that if you want to align with a master timeline, your master builder timeline, and certainly the energies that are going to be ever present in 2022 as a capsule, a bubble of your evolution, and it is a powerful one, you can make the decision that I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that decision back. I changed my mind about who I am. That part's easy. It's deciding to live in that truth every day, in the thoughts you think, the feelings you have, and the things that you do for yourself to create that new identity, okay? But just like it was an everyday commitment to live in your own self-diminishment, it's an everyday commitment to live in your own self-empowerment. I heard a story of a Navajo code talker. He came home from war and was tormented by ghosts by those who died as a result of his work. Yeah, that's also a decision. Sorry, not sorry. That's also a decision. We can make ourselves hosts for that energy. And if we are in a place of some sort of self-denial, we're not in our power. We're not making decisions about who we are and our identity and how we portray ourselves in the world, how we show up for ourselves in the world. If that's not from a place of power, you are making yourself a host for parasitic energies. I teach a whole class about this, the Psychic Protection Masterclass. And it's powerful. It's a powerful masterclass. You do not, especially if you do energy healing work, if you don't have these kind of tools in your toolbox, you need to. Because as we're going through this, this last gasp of Dark Night of the Soul of 2021 energies, 4D, which is a very active dimensional realm right now, we have a lot of 3D, 4D overlap. And there's a lot of shadow, a lot of duality in 4D. And the shadow energies, we've seen how they've woven their influence into our human planetary timeline because humans are so at odds with each other at the moment. That's shadow in the collective, coming up, coming home to roost. And that's why we've also treated each other so poorly, but we've made that decision. There can be all kinds of influence and energy out there. Those parasitic ghosts, they're tormented as well. So the frequency of that is torment, turmoil, chaos. It can't ever show up in an energy that is not a host for it, meaning it can't ever show up in an energy that isn't a frequency match for it. That's a universal law, okay? It's a law of coherence. And the law of attraction. It's many laws at once, not just the law of attraction or law of coherence. But the only way any energy can be supported is if there's an energy existing to support it, okay? But I don't want to go off on that tangent. I have a whole class about that. So does that help? So we're collectively healing a broken heart, the broken heart of humanity, if you want to call it that. And then individually, we're going to have our own timeline for correcting that imbalance, right? So let that be a comfort to you. But in the light of that, it's important to recognize that you have the ability, the power, you hold all the power, none of the control, but you have all the power to create the destiny of this next year's timeline. So are you living alongside your desires? Are you living with that every day? Are you taking small steps? Remember, as I talked about in the very beginning here, are you not necessarily making quantum leaps, because that can put us back into self-sabotage, analysis paralysis, where we end up doing nothing. So what are bite-sized chunks? I talked about that in here too. Bite-sized chunks, little incremental, challenges that you can set up for yourself every day as a way of thinking, believing, doing. This is an action-based realm too, guys. This is a physical reality realm, 3D. That means that action changes things here. And if you're taking actions that are in alignment with your desires, then you are actively doing your 3D human part to create your divine destiny here now in a 3D reality dense dimension, right? And it doesn't have to be a massive action. In fact, I don't really recommend that, because consistency and momentum is everything. And as this accelerated timeline of, clearing out and purging what else is left to go, this clearinghouse type energy, it's good to create some sort of consistent momentum in your life where you are working with that unwelcome contrast, where you can meet it head on because you're taking some sort of action, or you're anchoring into some sort of belief, way of thinking about yourself, talking to yourself, way of feeling. What are you doing to make yourself feel good every day? And not feel good in a way of spiritual bypassing or sidestepping, where you're like, I'm just going to be positive all the time and pretend this shit that really bothers me doesn't exist. That is toxic positivity. That is spiritual bypassing and sidestepping. That's not what I'm talking about. You can still be doing some serious work on yourself and decide to feel good. And the best way, the easiest way, the most reachable, workable, tangible way to do that is to take consistent action steps every day. Make a promise to yourself. Here's the other thing about going 5D, you guys. Making good on your commitments and promises to yourself and to others is in alignment with the principles and practices of 5D. It is a higher principle. It's a higher way of being. Because think about how it makes you feel when you make good on your commitments to yourself or anyone else. Right? Now, I'm not talking about being so burnt out, burning the candle at both ends and trying to spread yourself too thin, trying to be a people pleaser energy. That's not what I'm fucking talking about. I'm talking about, if you say you're going to do something, don't speak those words unless you really intend to do it, because it sets up an energetic within you. And when you don't meet that demand, when you don't meet that commitment, when you don't meet that promise, it creates an energetic disconnect within you. And you go right back to square one in terms of not feeling very good about yourself, right? Weeble wobbles, but they don't fall down, comes to mind. I had the Weeble Wobble Village. Did anyone else have the Weeble Wobble Village? So, you know how Barbie had her own townhouse? Well, the Weeble Wobbles had one too, and it was like in the forest. It was like this magical kind of fairy realm, because who knew what Weeble Wobbles were? They seemed like sprites to me, like some sort of sprite type energy. So they had like this little forest condo. And I had the Weeble Wobble house. Oh my God. Taking me back, Catherine. That's so funny. Oh, thank you, Danielle. Yes, it is a powerful masterclass. Super empowering. If you do any kind of energy work, I highly recommend it. And you can get it in my member vault, my VIP member vault. That's my product suite. So any kind of online program or course that I've, ever offered pretty much is in there. Yes, the parasites are hungry and or in pain, right? So they can only show up and be a frequency match for those who are also hungry and in pain. Torn apart inside, because that's what these parasitic energies are. Not evil in and of themselves, but torn apart and in conflict. Okay. I am weebling. Well, I'm going to leave it there, kids. Are there any questions for me before I sign off? Anything that I touched on here that you would like maybe a little... For those of you here live, this is a great opportunity for you to ask me some questions. We have just really touched the tip of the iceberg here in terms of what's available for you to making bigger changes in your life, to moving towards being in that master builder timeline, okay? Holding the frequency of all of your power without distraction, without abstraction, without diminishment, from a place of wholesomeness. That's what In Alignment and Thriving Core Program is all about. It is powerful. We're teaching it again. I've got new additions. So every time I teach a program live again, and this is live coaching, you're not getting recorded calls, you guys. I mean, some of the things that I put in as supplemental material is recorded because they're on my YouTube channel, and they just help you to better integrate the material that I'm sharing. But when I do a live coaching program, that means you get me live coaching. It's powerful stuff. And so there's going to be some opportunities for those of you who join that I'm going to set it up in my Facebook Messenger, that you'll have an opportunity to get some private messenger coaching with me. It won't be an audio call, although there'll probably be some audio exchange. But that's an addition that I'm putting in this live round at no extra cost to you. It's just part of the program price. It's not a VIP option. It's just going to be available for everyone in the group to get a coaching session with me via Facebook Messenger. So a lot of times when we do a group program, we feel like we're dealing with something really tender, really sensitive, and not everybody wants to put their stuff out on Front Street. Even though I teach group programs where there's a lot of integrity, there's a lot of safe space to share and explore and expand in your energy. I always offer that. I always offer a very safe, very powerful container of transformation that's available to everyone who's in the program. But sometimes we feel our stuff is too tender. Sometimes we don't want to share it with other people. I get that. So that's why I'm offering this option to you, and it's at no extra price. It's just the part of the program. And there's going to be 2 Q&As this time that will be available, and we'll do that in the group, in the Facebook group. So when you join, you get access to all the replays from the last round, so you can dig into those right away when you join. And then we start the live coaching on 11/11, which is a really, really powerful cosmic portal. And I can't believe I'm so lucky as to start this next live round on that day and on that time. I can already feel the energy building. It's freaking phenomenal. So it's already bringing in hugely transformative energies, a huge wave of alchemy, of personal alchemy, just kind of allowing us to ride on this wave into our next level of transformation, leveling up, whatever that means for you, looks like for you. The energies are already there. They're already there to help you. And then, you're in for life. So when you join this program, you have lifetime access. So every time I teach it live again, even when the price goes up, because it's going to go up again in January. So after this next live round, if you don't join at this payment price, you're going to be paying more the next time. So if that's a factor for you, you're going to want to get in there now. There's payment plans. There's 4 different payment plans. 3 payment plans, 1 single payment price. And you get all of that. 1111 starts so powerful. Yes, yes, Marianne. Yes, Tammy. You definitely offer a safe space. Thank you, Pamela. Yes, Pamela is in my Timelines program. We also have a big group for that as well. The universe is conspiring for this round. I love it. You took the words right out of my mouth, Catherine. You're speaking my language today, lady. So be real with yourself, guys. If you are asking for these changes and you keep thinking it's just going to change on its own, you know, that thing that's bothering you and distracting you from the improvements you want to make, it's not just going to go away. It's not just going to go away. And when we become very proactive and an active and willing participant in our own powerful transformation, that's your power. That's where you feel bold. That's where you feel courageous to take on life's challenges and go out and fucking do whatever you want to do in this world. And it ain't just about us. It ain't just about you or me anymore, I should say. It is about us, but it ain't just about you and me. We're not just one at a timing it here anymore in our improvements, because the improvements that we make with ourselves, and we're showing up in a greater way in this world, in our power, in our sovereignty, in our integrity, in our truth, in our authenticity. We're serving a collective timeline, not just our own, because that's the energies that we're in right now. That's who we are, okay? As way showers, as thought leaders, as visionaries. Those are the people I love to work with, because they know and anchor into the truth of what I just said. It ain't just about me. What I do, even though I love what I do and I love my clients and I love everything that I teach and that I share and I'm passionate about it, I hope you get that. I'm passionate about what I do. I get super freaking excited about people who step up into their power and they finally realize how absolutely amazing they are, how they are all that in a bag of chips and a cold beer. I love that. That lights me up. That fires me up. It allows me to keep going and keep doing and keep expanding in what I do. Keep offering more powerful shifts, because it ain't just about me. And yes, I love making money from what I do. Yes, I love that I've created a livelihood around the work that I fucking love and am here to do. I was born to do this. That's my destiny. And I love it when I can take that energy and alchemize that and help the other person that I'm helping do that too. There's no better feeling. There isn't. There is not a better feeling than knowing that what I do helps so many people. Because I love you. That's why I have this community. That's why I teach the courses that I do, because I love you and I know you're worthy of more, and I know that the only thing stopping you is you. And I love helping you come to that realization and then giving you all the tools to help make those next steps and then create it as a way of being. It's like you're not just done with this program and you're like, okay, that was great, put that on the shelf. No, you don't come out of this program the same person. You can't. You can't come out of this program the same person. It's not possible. If you show up and do the work. Like if you don't do the journaling and you just kind of, sit in the calls and you're like clicking through Facebook and looking at your profile and your wall the whole time, then you are probably going to come out of this program the same person. But if you show up and do the work, this work works if you show up and do the work. Got it? Okay. And I love coming to that realization. Yes, Jante. Jante is also in the group. And oh my God, our last round was great. Jante, I can't wait to take you on this next live round, because it's going to be even more powerful. And I'm adding 2 new energy activations this time around that are also going to be really, really amazing and help us bring in that calm and serenity, because it's not like we're not going to feel the anxiety. It's not like we aren't going to feel the collective dark night of the soul still being sussed out. We are going to feel that. But in order to stay on our path, stay focused and concentrated on what we need to do for ourselves to push the needle forward on the timeline of this planet towards unity consciousness, we need to stay focused. And so I'm going to have some great energy activations and guided journeys to help you with that. They are already so powerful. They're coming in and I'm like, I don't have time for, like, I'm getting all these downloads and all this stuff is coming in so fast and furious, because that's the way it happens when I get ready to teach a course. So much comes in like the week before I teach it. And it's starting to come in now. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can't write that fast. So I do a lot of voice recording of my stuff, and then I write it down or transcribe it later. Excited for the new energy activations. Tammy's excited too. She's in there. So get in this program, you guys. I can't say enough about it. I mean, I can keep talking about it, but I don't know what else I can tell you. This is your program. This is your transformation. You don't come out of this program the same person. You can't. If you show up and do the work, this work works. Okay? And then you're in there for life. So every time I teach it, you get to come back and up level for free. You get to go into your next threshold of transformation and pay nothing else. So I love you guys so much. I'm so excited when I think about 2022 and everything that's possible for us. The dust is finally settling. And start noticing now, after we've had this talk, you're going to start seeing 222 everywhere, or maybe 2022, but just notice what's happening when you see that master builder number 222. Notice what's going on. Notice your surroundings. Who are you around? What's going on at the time? Where are you in the world? Okay, this is important. That's part of your messaging system. Okay, and I love how this class is infinite. Absolutely, keep coming. Keep up leveling. That's how I roll. Much love, gratitude, and peace. Bye-bye.